Involving employees in decision making is a great way to keep them motivated, especially for things that affect them. I'll talk about when to include employees in decision making in this video. Hello, I'm Stephen Goldberg of Optimus Performance, bringing you practical tips and ideas on leadership, team development, and employee performance in the workplace. Leaders, managers need to make decisions all the time. And if you want to engage your employees and have them be more motivated to carry out your decisions, then you want to involve them in the decision-making process. Now, you can't involve employees in every decision. That would be just too time-consuming. But those that really affect how they execute their job and affect the department are really the ones you want to take more time to include them in the decision. And those could be things like maybe policies, even as far as hiring new staff. This is a way to kind of get their input. What type of employee will work best with us? What is the attitude we're looking for? What sort of derails performance? So it's a great conversation to have with employees because it makes them aware of what do we need as far as coworkers, and then they can become kind of like your assistant managers. And once everyone is more aware of what is required in terms of performance from each other in order to work well together, when that's not happening, then they could remind people that what is really required and ask them to maybe change their attitude or behavior or whatever. But if you have that conversation, everybody's aware of it, it's much easier for then employees to confront each other. Confront is not a word that people like to use, but I look at it in a positive way, because if you're working as a team and you have kind of like a code of ethics or a standard of performance, which includes, how you interact with each other. When people aren't doing that, then it's good to confront them, kind of like a reminder. You do it in a positive way. And that's why I always recommend skill development training in terms of interpersonal skills, teamwork skills, so that employees can easily do that with each other. Now, of course, some people are adverse to doing that because they're more emotional and they fear that it's going to be a conflict that they're bringing up. But others won't have a problem, and you want to also help those that are more emotional to do that. But I'm kind of getting off track here a little bit. So the idea was about when to include employees in decision making. And I would say anything that's kind of strategic for your department, that's going to affect employees, that you need them to carry out, the actions to support that decision, you want to get them involved in the decision making. Now, there's ways to do that, but let's talk first about what can stop you from doing that. And really, what stands in the way usually is time. And so involving people in decision making takes time because you have to meet with them. And there's ways of doing that, or there's levels of doing that. You could just ask their opinion and get their input about a decision that you want to make. You could take it even further and have them actually help you make the decision, and that requires more discussion, coming to consensus. But you always reserve the right as the leader, as the manager, to make the final decision. But the more chance you give them to give that input, the more time you accord them for that discussion, the more they're going to respect you, the more they're going to feel that they've influenced that decision and that they can take ownership for it and for the actions that they need to commit to. So you need to have the time to do that, and that's really what often is the challenge and why managers and leaders don't involve employees enough in decision making. So you need to plan strategically the time, or put aside the time to do that. And that may be a shift in your habit or behavior for you, And that's why leadership development is so important, that you look at yourself and what's standing in your way. Is it because you tend to have too many projects on the go? Are you too high energy? Do you not plan enough? Are you a firefighter type leader? And you want to find ways to shift that to become more of a participative leader, which is what I always recommend. So there's another video that I'm going to recommend that you watch following this one. It should be coming up on screen right now. There's also a tool I have on my website that you could download to find out if you're more of a leader or a manager. Leaders tend to have more of a dialogue with people and coach them, so you could go through that exercise as well. Subscribe to the channel, give thumbs up to this if you like it, turn on notifications once you subscribe so you get news of new videos. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk again soon.